Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another video here on Hytale Gusto. Hytale has a lot of huge plans for 2022. In today's video, we take a look at all big plans Hytale has for 2022. Stay tuned. For those who are unaware, Hytale is a sandbox game with many RPG elements. The game is dubbed a world of adventure and creativity. And honestly, they aren't wrong. The developer Hypixel Studios is in charge of the game, the very studio responsible for building the Minecraft servers. The game is similar to Minecraft but is a vast improvement from the predecessor in many ways. The developers of Hytale were super kind to us in 2021. 2021 has been the year of maximum progress with the game, and according to some folks, we got to see the developers make some radical changes to a few aspects, all the while expanding on the basic groundwork as well. 2.5-year developments were made known on the website, which is where we learned about the unfortunate delay in the release date for the game. We got to see many additions to the avatar and combat system, including daggers, maces, and swords. We also got to see the game's modular AI system evolve to give depth to its PvP. Developers are calling it the new combat action evaluator, because of which non-player characters and NPCs will be able to make smarter moves. We also got to see characters pull up 4 block jumps and a 1 block incline. 2 OSTs were also released. One was titled Adventure in the Chill and Into the Endless Sky. Both are bangers in our opinion. Likewise, a lot of folks have high expectations from the studio in 2022. So far, the game's shown great promise. Although almost everyone can tell the developers are grinding away to make the game a complete success. Be yourself. One of the things we can expect from Hytale is to expand on the open-world game the previous games have already done in a way that delivers a unique experience. One way the developers plan on doing that is to allow its users to personalize their avatars in multiple ways. The developers recognize just how important it is for players to express themselves through these avatars, which is why they're always expanding on these avatar looks. They're always adding to the list of fashion choices in the game, so it's safe to say that when you get your hands on the game, you can surely design an avatar that matches your vibe. Going into 2022, we can expect the developers to add even more options for things like the color of one's eye, the texture of hair, and whatnot. Overall, Hytale plans to make the game as exclusive as possible, and their efforts in this regard are commendable for sure. They might even polish details on facial expressions and fantasy features. Gameplay. With that said, if you think that Hytale will be another block-style game like Minecraft, then you're dead wrong. Of course, many of us are attached to that particular game style, but let's get real. It feels outdated and very limiting, and it's time we move on. The Hytale developers sure do think the same, and they recently came out with a clip showing the crew moving around. It wasn't anything attention-grabbing, but right at that moment, we got to see the character jump and grab the ledge with their hands. The climbing action is entirely new, and we haven't caught it in any of the previous games, let alone Hytale updates. This tells us that the developers are looking to improve on moments in their game, and from what we saw, there is going to be an ease in interaction now, which is going to help the players push the boundaries of exploration, since they'll no longer find themselves stuck at the bottom of a seemingly unclimbable wall. The improvement adds a whole new layer of realism to the game, which we're going to see the developers improve in 2022. Music. Moving on, we have soundtracks. No game is complete without its thriller background music. Folks over at Hytale Studios recognize just how important it is for players, which is why they're focusing on coming up with a calm, meditative, soothing soundtrack to go with the same. This way, players might be in their element as they explore the wilderness and other open worlds in the game. Music makes a fundamental part of the whole experience, and over time, Hytale has given us a glimpse of the soundtrack, and it's something that is very fitting for the game. They've chosen the right music, and going into 2022, we might just hear more of it. Functions. Next up, we have butt sliding. Anyone who's played any game is all too familiar with a function that lets characters slide against the floor. The developers at Hytale want the same ease of fluid movement for their players, which is why they have not pushed it aside. The team of developers is pretty passionate about getting the game as perfect as possible, and that's why they're always visiting forums and reading Twitter threads to hear about any positive feedback, which they can incorporate into their game. The game's still in development, so that's something that they can easily pull off. That is where they come across players talking about a sliding feature in the game. The developers clearly paid attention to their conversation and decided it was in the best interest of all parties to include the feature in the game. And as we head into 2022, we might just see more updates like this, as well as improve on the sliding feature. Weapons. The developers also plan on improving weapons and combat even more. It's probably the biggest update so far. We can't talk about the game's features without taking a look at the greater revolutionary ideas at play here. Though the developers are introducing whole new levels of the open world experience with insane customizations to the weapon system, under the update, players will be able to choose a weapon of their choice and add whatever features they want. This way you can use the various weapons and tools at your disposal in a way that you want and not by the game's rules that are often restrictive. It's gonna be entirely changing how the players get to interact with the game. With that said, there won't be any complaints about the weapons being too boring from players, which is why we often hear from games that have undergone lazy development, but that isn't the case with Hytale at all. The developers for this game are all about delivering an out-of-the-world, never-before-seen game experience. Well guys, that's all we have for now. Hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks for watching.